Welcome everyone to CCNA version 7 Net2 class. This is Switching, Routing, and Wireless Essentials. This course is the second course in the CCNA version 7 curriculum, and it focuses on switching technologies and router operations that support small to medium-sized business networks. It includes wireless local area networks, or WLANs, and security concepts. After completing all the modules, you will learn key switching and routing concepts. You will also be able to perform basic network configuration and troubleshooting, as well as to identify and mitigate LAN security threats and configure and secure a basic WLAN. Once again, I am your CCNA virtual instructor, Engineer Ernely E. Pineda. Welcome and nice to meet you all. For our first module, we will be covering basic switch and router configuration. This is in continuation of the basic learnings you've had from your Net1 class. After this module, you will be able to demonstrate how to configure initial settings on a Cisco switch port, and secure management access on a switch, and also to develop your skills in configuring a router and to discover route between two directly connected networks using CLI. Alright, so without further ado, let's go on with it. Okay, so to start off our lesson, we're gonna begin with this topic right here. So we're gonna start off with the discussion on how to configure a switch with initial settings. Okay, but before that, let's take a look first. Mabilisan lang. Let's take a look at the switch boot sequence. Alright, so this is this happens whenever you try to power on your Cisco switch. Okay, so ano yung mga ginagawa niya? Okay, before it can be used, or before you will be able to configure it using CLI. So what are the initial boot sequence na ginagawa niya? Okay, so first, after you press the power on, it undergo what we call a power on self-test, or POST. Okay, so the POST program is stored in the ROM. Okay, parang ito yung read-only memory, yung memory ng switch, wherein the POST program checks the CPU, it tests the dynamic RAM, it checks the portion of the flash, okay, and everything that makes up the flash file system, kung okay ba siya, kung intact ba siya. Alright? So, kung familiar kayo with the POST, di ba? Ito yung term na ginagamit natin with computers, right? So, whenever you turn on the computer, okay, it undergoes also power on self-test. Okay, checking its internal components like the CPU, the memory, the hard drive. So, more or less, parang ganun din sa switch. Okay? Halos kapareho lang niya. Okay, so after everything is in order, okay, it will undergo step 2, wherein the switch loads the bootloader software. So, check niyo yung laman, no? And then, pag okay lahat, okay, ilo-load niya na yung bootloader software. So, ano yung bootloader? It is a small program stored in ROM, read-only memory. Okay, parang ito yung chip, no? Parang yung sa mga cellphones natin, they have ROM, no? They have the Android software. So, whenever you turn on your cell phone or smartphone, it checks for this particular loader software. Okay, so this runs immediately after POST successfully completes all the process in step 1. Okay, so after that, the next steps are just pretty straightforward, no? The bootloader performs low-level CPU initialization, so it starts the CPU registry. Alright, it controls where physical memories map, everything, no? Step 4, inire-ready niya na yung flash file system on the board. Okay, so parang kukuhanin niya na kung meron ka bang initial configuration na nakalagay or is it still the default configuration? Okay, yun yung ilo-load niya. Okay, so up to step 5 finally. Alright, so the bootloader locates and loads the default iOS operating system. So you're all familiar with the term iOS, right? It was discussed in CCNA1, okay? Internet Network Operating System. This is Cisco proprietary, no? Ito yung parang pinaka-Android ni Cisco equipment. Alright, so it loads the default Cisco iOS into the memory, and after that, it gives control of the switch over to the iOS. So that is when, mamaya, no, makikita natin sa packet tracer, after it undergoes all these steps, okay, you will be given full control, okay, access of that particular switch using either a CLI or GUI configuration. Okay? Alright, next. Alright, so let's take a look at the switch LED indicators. So we don't have, in reality, no, pero you can see when you open Packet Tracer, you already worked on with several switches already, during your CCNA1. So more or less, alam nyo na yung itsura ng mga switch. Okay, by just clicking on that and then looking at the physical layout, no, makita mo siya. So ito, these are just some reminders, yung mga indicator lights natin, yung mga umiilaw-ilaw, no, whenever you turn on the switch, para saan sila. Alright, and then ano yung mga ibig sabihin whenever they show a certain light indicator. So dalawa lang naman yan, no? It's either steady green, blinking green, steady amber, yung parang orange, at saka blinking amber. So ano yung mga ibig sabihin nila whenever you see that kind of indicator lights. Alright, so let's take a look at the LEDs first. So you have the system LED. Alright, so obviously ito yung sa power. So whenever you turn on the switch, the SysT right there should be steady green. So ibig sabihin, it receives power from the outlet and it's functioning properly. Pag wala yan, definitely walang power, nakabunot siya, or walang power na nare-receive yung switch. Alright? So you also have the RPS status, redundant power supply. Alright, just in case you have backup power supply. You also have your port status, LEDs. Okay, ito naman yung mga sa mga mode, or kung minsan ito yung mga, for example, let's say what particular type of mode ang ginagamit mo, depende yon. So we're gonna discuss more on the different modes as we move forward with the switch configuration later. Okay, port duplex. Okay, sabi niya when green, it indicates port duplex mode is selected. Alright, so kapag naka-on daw siya, basically yung port na yon is using, or that all of the ports sa switch is using port duplex mode. Okay, basically by default duplex naman lahat talaga, no, yung communication method, no, lahat ng mga ports are in duplex, no. Next, you also have the port speed. Okay, the port speed mode. Okay, just in case you wanted to switch on that particular mode. Alright, lilipat ka lang siya. You also have the power over Ethernet LED, just in case your switch supports PoE. Alright, so halos lahat naman ng mga switch natin ngayon are already PoE, no? It means yung power, for example, let's say when you connect a certain switch, okay, sometimes you don't need an external power input anymore. So manggagaling na lang yung kuryente niya dun mismo sa LAN cable na i-connect mo. Alright? So ito sila. Okay, let's take a look at the different status. So ito sila, no? Sinasabi ko kanina, no? If they are steady green, blinking green, amber, blinking amber, and then you have your alternating green and amber. So most of the time, okay, a fully functional, yung gumaganang switch, most of the time is steady green ito. So you will see steady green right there. So ibig sabihin okay siya. Alright? Kapag blinking green siya, it indicates sometimes an activity, no? Activity, parang ganon. Alright? Pag amber, ibig sabihin, kumbaga, parang, let's say, lalo kapag naka-STP ka, no? Minsan, medyo na yan, may port block status, that prevents loop. We're gonna talk about more of that pag nandun na tayo sa latter modules. Okay? Pero ang ayaw lang nating makita dito, probably, is yung blinking amber. Probably there's an issue presented. Okay, look at that, no? At saka yung alternating green and amber. So, ito yung mga kailangan iniiwasan nating makita whenever you are trying to use or configure a switch. Okay, initially lang naman tong mga to. So, these are just some reminders, no? Okay, just visual checkup, no? By looking at the different switches. Pero, again, no, by default, when you use and turn on the switch, automatically, ready na yan, no? For configuration. Okay, if it is out of the box, pag brand new, okay, wala pa siyang laman, no? So all you have to do is to properly connect, okay, certain cables, okay, on how to and then proceed with the proper configuration. Okay, mamaya gagawin natin yan. Okay? Alright, so ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Alright, so this next is we're going to manage our switch. Okay, so to prepare a switch for remote management access, sabi niya dito, no? The switch must be configured with an IP address and a subnet mask. Okay, so initially, sabi nga, out of the box, wala pang IP address at saka subnet mask configuration yung switch natin. Alright? So, para ma-manage mo siya remotely, kailangan mong ma-enter muna yung detaling yon. So, you should configure that initially on that particular switch along with the default gateway. Okay? So, kapag hindi mo pa yun nakakonfigure, so what is the ano yung mean natin, no? Para ma-configure mo yung switch. Okay, we call it the initial switch management configuration. Okay? So, sa umpisa, okay, you don't have any choice but to use what we call as the console cable. So, meron kang PC, meron kang laptop, okay, nandyan yung switch, and all you have to do is to connect your computer, laptop, or PC using a console cable. Ito, nakaturo siya. We call it the console cable, going to the console port of the switch. Then after that, you're going to run a network emulation software, okay, or a terminal, sorry, network terminal software like TerraTerm, PATI, yung mga ganun, para mapasukan mo yung CLI niya. Okay? Yung CLI niya, yun yung kung saan ka nagtatype ng mga Cisco commands. Okay? Na kailangan natin para ma-set yung mga initial configuration nitong switch na to prepare it for deployment sa network. Okay? Pero unless magawa mo yung bagay na yon, okay, kakailanganin mo tong device na to. Okay? We call it the console cable. If you haven't seen any console cable yet, ito yung itsura niya, guys. Ayan. So, ito siya. So, ito, kukonect yan sa switch. This one right there goes to your computer. So, RJ45 is RS232 connector. RS232. Now, serial connector ang tawag dyan. Okay? Kung minsan baliktad sila. So, this one papunta sa PC, and this one papunta dun sa console port ng switch. Okay? Now, meron tayong question dito. What if yung laptop na gagamitin ko is wala siyang serial connector? So, ang sagot dyan, ito. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na serial to USB adapter. Alright, so you have your serial port connected to the serial port female ng console cable. Ito yung console cable, yung sky blue. And then, ito yung papunta sa PC. And then, this one, ito na yung papunta sa yung dulo niya, yung RJ45, papunta na yan sa switch. Okay, so ganun lang siya kasimple. Alright? So, let's try to simulate that, okay, using packet tracer. Okay, so try natin dito, guys. So, ano yung kailangan natin? So, we're gonna need a PC. Ito siya. Kailangan ko lang. Alright, computer. Okay, and then we're gonna need a switch. Alright, so just the normal 2960 switch. So, ayan siya. Alright, and then ang gagawin lang natin is to try and connect. So, initially, no, wala pa siyang configuration. So, how can you be able to access the CLI of this switch? So, sabi nga natin, okay, we're going to use a console cable. Ito yung console cable. You should notice na sa packet tracer, Okay, just click on ito yung parang kidlat. And nalilitaw lahat ng mga sample connectors natin. So, when you try to, pag tinutok mo yung mouse over those type of connectors, lilitaw yung pangalan nila. So, you have your console here. Alright. So, click lang natin yan. Okay, as you notice, no, they are color-coded, sky blue. So, same lang nung pinakita ko sa inyong sample kanina. Ito yon. Alright. So, yan siya. So, console. Okay. Click on the PC. Okay. Saan mo siya ilalagay? So, I na-mention kong port label kanina. That is RS232, right? Registered serial 232. Okay. So, dyan papunta. Okay. So, let's try and connect it. No? So, you have RS232 going to the console. Okay. So, hindi siya dyan sa mga port na yan. So, console. Right there. So, we have the connection. Okay, and then after that, okay, pupunta tayo sa PC. Okay, and then sabi ko kanina, no, we're gonna need another tool, no? Yung tinatawag nating network terminal tool. So, si Packet Tracer, meron na siyang built-in network terminal tool. So, punta lang kayo sa desktop, and then you will see there yung word na terminal, sabi niya. No? Okay, so terminal. So, click mo lang yan. Okay. For now, let's just use the default. Okay, so okay lang natin to. And then, ito na siya. Lilitaw na yung CLI ni switch. So, pag sinabi niya, press return to get started, return means enter. Okay? So, enter lang tayo dyan. And then, ito na yung laman. No? Ito na yung software. Ito na yung iOS ni Cisco switch. So, ayan na siya. So, may mga lilitaw na information dyan. Anong version siya. Okay. So, kung ilang port, ayan siya, the image. Okay, yung mga details ng hardware. Ilan yung memory niya, which is 64 MB. Right there. So, nakalitaw siya. No, even the Cisco iOS version is already indicated. Okay, that is version 12.12. So, minsan sa exam, lumilitaw yan, no? So, how are we going to check, no? Kung pag hindi lumitaw yan, all you have to do is to type in show space version. Okay, so pag nag-show version ka, lilitaw lahat ng mga information na lumitaw initially kanina. Pareho lang sila. Okay? So, yan siya. Alright, move on tayo. Okay. So, you have the SBI. Okay, you have the SBI. Configuration. So, mamaya maglalagay tayo ng IP address doon. Huh? Okay, so, how are we going to put IP address on the switch virtual interface? Okay, so ganito yan, no, guys. So, ito na yung process natin on how we're going to add IP address on that particular switch. Now, if you've already done this in Net1, and then naalala nyo pa yung configuration na yun, good. Alright? Pero, basically, almost the same lang naman. Okay, all you have to do is ito. You just follow this command line right here. Okay, we're gonna enter the global mode, and then inside global mode, we're gonna issue the interface command. Okay, SBI ang ginamit niya is VLAN 99. Okay, VLAN 99. By default, no, sa CCNA1 ang ginamit niyo palagi is VLAN 1. No, that is the default SBI number. No. But for now, since meron na tayong VLAN, pagdating natin sa mga latter modules, no, you will notice na magagawa na tayo ng mga iba't ibang VLAN numbers. Okay? And then you will see the advantage of using deploying VLAN. Pag nandun ka na sa loob ng, for example, SBI VLAN 99, that is where you put in the IP address, space the subnet mask. This one is for IPv4. Okay? If you want to create a dual stack address. So, pwede mo ring lagyan ng IPv6 address yan. So, ayan. So, dual stack ang tawag dyan. Dual stack means meron siyang B4, meron din siyang B6. And then, of course, okay, before mo siya bitawan, okay, you will need to turn the SBI on by issuing the command no shutdown. Kasi pag hindi mo ginawa to, meron lang nga siyang IP address, pero hindi naka-on yung switch virtual interface natin. Okay, so hindi rin siya, wala rin siya, hindi siya gagana. And then after that, you exit and then usave. So this is the command for saving. So remember this command. Now copy, run, start. Okay, gawin natin. So let's just follow this configuration right here. Okay, using my CLI. So ito yon. Okay, so ito yung sa packet tracer, no? Inano ko lang. So all you have to do, okay, palitan muna natin yung host name. So alam niyo na kung paano palitan yung host name, right? So enable muna tayo. So switch to user privilege. Okay, configure terminal. You can also use the short commands, no, if you want. Config T para mabilis. Alright, and then let's just change the host name S1 para gayahin natin to. We're gonna go interface VLAN 99, enter. So you are inside now VLAN 99. Then we're gonna put IP address there 172.17.99.1.11. Subnet mask of 22255.0. Enter. Okay, let's skip IPv6 for now. So let's just use muna IPv4 for this example. Okay, so I'm gonna do no shutdown to turn on the SVI link. Okay, the VLAN 99 na meron ng IP address. No shutdown. Okay, so that would turn on the line. Alright, and then end ako. Okay, to go back to privilege mode, and then I'm gonna do save. Okay, using the command copy running config start of config. Alright, then enter. Okay, then enter lang tayo dito. Okay, so basically that's it, no? So by doing that, okay, you already configured VLAN 99 with the IPv4 address of this value, and then you turn it on. Ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay? Now to check if in-accept, no, ni switch yung configuration na ginawa mo, just key in show run. If you want, pwedeng show run. And then, nilitaw dyan yung mga tinype natin. So, you have the host name there. Enter lang tayo dito. Okay, sa pinakailalim, you will see there the VLAN 99. Look at that. Okay, merong nagawang isang SVI. Nandun yung default na VLAN 1. Wala pang IP address dyan, tsaka naka-shutdown siya. But you will notice the VLAN 99 right there already has the IP address, and then walang nakalagay na shutdown sa kanya. Ibig sabihin, naka-turn on na yung link. It is already up and running. Okay, so ganun lang siya kasimple. Alright, so you can also use the show IP interface brief command. Okay, to give you the summary of the IP addresses. Okay, na naka-configure per SVI. So you will notice right there, ito siya. Okay, so ayan siya. Alright, so you have your pre-configured, okay, configuration command right there. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so the next thing you need to do after doing the step 1, okay, after configuring the management interface, okay, as you notice, no, hindi pa mag-up yung line na yon. So you will notice, no, ito sabi niya, the SVI for VLAN 99 will not appear as up and up. That is the good status until VLAN 99 is created and there is a device connected to a switch port associated with VLAN 99. So you will notice that here. So pansinin nyo, no, it's still down status. Hindi pa siya up. That is because we don't have any port connected to that particular VLAN yet. Wala pa tayong port na kinonect. So papansinin natin yung packet tracer natin, guys. Ito siya. Yung console pa lang ang naka-connect. Wala pa yung LAN, yung papunta sa mga network, yung papunta sa mga PC, wala pa. Okay? So, sige, let's proceed. Okay, let's have this one. So, for step 2, we're gonna configure the default gateway. So, how are we going to do that? Okay, so sa default gateway, wala kang papasukang SVI. You don't need to go interface and then the VLAN number. Okay, all you have to do is to enter global mode, and then the command is IP space default dash gateway and then the value. Yung mga value na to, guys, whenever you have your packet tracer activity, nakalitaw naman to sa address table. Kung ano yung gagamitin ng default gateway, kung ano yung gagamitin ng IP address subnet mask ng mga SBI natin. And then, it's the same issue. end, tapos copy run start. Okay, gawin natin to. So the IP address 99.1. So let's try that here. So I'm gonna go to global. Okay. And then, okay, the just command IP default dash gateway 172.17.99.1. Okay, this time, now you notice now there's no subnet mask included. Okay, again, there's no subnet mask included whenever you configure a default gateway. So, enter lang tayo dito. Hindi mo na kailangan ng no shutdown. Okay, also. Okay, kasi pag sa ano lang yun, sa SBI lang yun. So, yun yung mga differences nila, no, guys? And then, end to exit. And then, copy. Running config, start of config, again, to save your file. So, check natin using show run. So, saan yung default gateway? Ayun na siya. So, meron na siyang value. Okay, so question, what if, sir, nagkamali ako ng paglagay ng default gateway? Nagkamali. Na imbis na 99.1, nalagay mo 99.2. O, madali lang. So, gagawin mo lang siya. Okay, just go back to global mode. Okay? And then, pwede mong balikan yung tinype mo dati by just pressing up arrow key sa keyboard. So, ito yung tinype natin kanina, right? And then, balikan mo, up. Punta ka doon sa pinakaunahan, nilagyan mo siya ng no sa umpisa. Okay. So, lahat ng command na ini-issue natin kay iOS, okay, you can still go back at them, okay, by using the hotkeys, using up arrow, down arrow, nandiyan siya. Parang Counter-Strike, no? If you played Counter-Strike. Ganun siya. Mga recent commands, you can still review. Hindi mo na kailangang i-type ng i-type. And then, punta ka lang sa umpisa using the left arrow. Okay, hindi pwede yung keyboard. Hindi pwede yung mouse, no? Gamitin yung left arrow key ninyo, up arrow key, and then just type in no sa umpisa. Any command na in-issue mo kay Cisco iOS, pag nilagyan mo siya ng no sa umpisa, it will negate that command. Tatanggalin niya, including the value. So, for example, ito mali, 99.2. Nilagay mo. So, lagyan mo lang siya ng no sa umpisa, enter. Okay, tatanggalin niya na yan. Okay? So, check natin kung tinanggal nga niya. So, ayun na siya. So, wala na yung default gateway. Okay, so ang gagawin mo niyan, after you remove the wrong default gateway, same applied, no? Pareho rin yan, pwede rin yan i-apply sa IP address assignment. Pag nagkamali ka ng IP address sa VLAN 99, pasok ka ulit kay VLAN 99, no IP address. Okay? And then, palitan mo siya ng tama na value. So, in here, okay, I'm just gonna type in IP default gateway ulit, and then I'm just gonna issue the correct value. Okay? So, yun lang. Ganun lang siya kasimple. So, pag nag-show run ka ulit, ayan na siya. So, andun na siya ulit. Okay, so that is just initial config, no? Paglalagay ng IP address, paglalagay ng default gateway. So, madali lang siya, guys, no? I hope you followed. Okay, let us proceed. Okay, so ito yung mga command natin kanina. Show IP interface brief. You also have the show IP basic interface brief for B6 address. Alright. Okay. Alright, so let's just skip that. Okay, so let's now configure our switch ports. Okay. Pahapyaw muna. So, when we say duplex communication, you have full duplex, you have half duplex. Okay, ano yung pinagkaiba nila? Pag full duplex, mas mabilis in terms of increased bandwidth efficiency. Okay, it allows both end to transmit and receive data simultaneously. Parang sa smartphone, pag nag-uusap kayo, pwede kang nagsasalita, yung kabilang linya nakikinig, pero pwede rin siyang sumabay na magsalita. Okay, so simultaneous receive and send of data. Okay, pag half duplex naman, kabaliktaran. Okay, pag nagsasalita ka, listening lang siya. Pag talking siya, listening ka. Parang sa mga two-way radios. Okay, ganun lang siya kasimple. Alright? So, yung mga speed ng gigabit ethernet for duplex mode. Okay, so yun siya. Okay, meron din tayong on how to configure this type of mode. So, sometimes you need to configure a certain port na it will run as duplex, full or half. Okay? Meron mga ganun, no? Kung gusto mo yung isang port, half lang siya, ibig sabihin receiving lang siya or sending lang siya, pwede yon. And also you configure yung speed ng bawat port sa switch. Okay? That is called managing na, no? Managing the speed and the no. So ito yung configuration natin just in case, no, sa packet tracer. Alright? So let's say for example, ang gusto nating mangyari dito, yung port 1, yung F01, the S1, it should run at full duplex mode at 100 Mbps. Yung port 1 should also run at full duplex mode at 100 Mbps. Pero guys, no, by default, no, we don't usually change this one. No? By default kasi lahat naman ng mga ports na yan are running on full duplex mode. Okay? Lahat ng port ng switch initially by default are running on full duplex mode at saka yung speed niya. So kung ang port speed ng isang switch is 100 Mbps kada port, that is 100 Mbps. Okay? At max, yun na yung pinaka-default speed niya. Meron din tayong mga 1 Gbps na port, no? As you will notice here, tingnan nyo to, check nyo lang. For example, paano yun makikita yan sila? So you have your gigabit Ethernet port right there that is running at 1 GB in terms of speed. Okay? Yung speed niya, kaya dalawa yan. And then, itong mga port 1 to 24 na to are all running at 100 Mbps. Okay, by default. Yan, by default, duplex rin yung mga yan. Okay, so let's move on with the config. So, try lang natin to, no? So, for example, let's say we're gonna try and configure the port 1. So, gayahin na lang natin to, guys, of this switch. So, global mode. Nasa global na tayo. So, we don't need to do the configure terminal. Interface na kaagad tayo. Fast Ethernet 0/1. Okay, just make sure that when you are targeting port roles, no, yung mga port labels nila, kapag port 1 ang nakatutok doon, you should be doing 0/1. Okay, sa packet tracer, no, very important yun. So, pag sinabi niya port 2, all you have to do is change the number 2 right there. 0/2, 0/3, 0/4, and so on. Okay? So, yan siya. And then, we're gonna do duplex. Okay, you have your different modes there by pressing question mark. You have your auto, full, half. By default, again, that is auto. Okay? Nakaset siya as auto by default. So, duplex, and then gagawin natin siyang full. Alright, you can also set the speed. For example, ayan siya. So, if you want, ayan. So, if you want it to run only at 10 Mbps. Okay, if you want to run it at 100 Mbps. Okay, so it depends on the speed, the default speed configuration of that particular port. So, for now, let's just do it 100. So, speed 100. And then, end tayo. And then, copy. Run, start. Alright, so save. So, ganun lang siya kasimple, guys. So, if you will be changing, no? If a certain packet tracer activity asks you to change this configuration values, then you use this particular commands. Okay? Alright, next, what is AutoMDX? Okay, so, AutoMDX, ito yung ginagamit ng mga Cisco switches, sa mga bagong Cisco switches to configure their own communication, sabihin na nating bridge. Okay? So, you learned in CCNA1 na kapag, di ba, yung mga type of cable na gagamitin, no? You have crossover, straight. Okay, let's just do it in packet tracer. So, for example, let's say, meron kang, di ba, napag-aralan nyo sa CCNA1 na kapag meron kang switch to switch, okay, anong kable ang gagawin? Switch, okay, pag switch to switch, okay, ang usapan natin dati, no, sa CCNA1, pag switch to switch, usually ang ginagamit nating cable is copper crossover. Kasi kapag similar device, di ba, pag similar device, we use crossover, di ba, ganun siya. Kapag hindi magkaparehong device, for example, PC to switch, kaya ang ginagamit nating connector is yung straight through na ginagamit natin. No, yan, straight through, yung mga ginawa ninyo. Okay, but now, okay, but because of the AutoMDX feature ng mga switch natin, okay, ito yon. Ang gagawin niya, it will automatically adjust, no? Kapag naka-AutoMDX yung port, check na, siya na yung bahala, no? Regardless kung anong klase ng kable ang ginamit mo. Straight through, crossover, okay, siya na yung bahalang mag-adjust. Okay? So, all you have to do is to enable MDX Auto sa mga port na gagamitin mo. So, let's just try that. So, for example, in this particular switch, okay, let's say, balikan natin yung port 1, interface, fast Ethernet, 0/1, and then just type in MDX space, because you can type MDX auto. So, pag ginawa mo yan, MDX space auto, kaya gagawin niya, alright, it will just initialize, no? Gagawin niya, bahala na siya, no? Gawin din natin sa kabila. So, enable, config T, interface, fast Ethernet 0/1, MDX auto, okay? And then, save natin, copy, run, start. Okay. Then, that is on switch 2. And then, connect natin yung dalawang port na yun. Just save muna natin to. Copy, and start. Okay. And then, connect natin siya using crossover. So, check natin. Forward time. Oh, bakit red? Anyway, so ganun yung configuration natin, no? So once you put a certain port in an MDX auto configuration, then bahala na siya. So it will configure, it will enable the port selection of those particular the cable selection of those particular ports. Okay na yan, switches. Okay, show commands verification. So ito yung mga just summary, no? I need you to take note of all these show commands, no? So, show interfaces, ito yung mga description nila. We already used show version a while ago. We already used the show IP interface brief a while ago. Show run is the most commonly used show command, okay, to show you the currently configured running configuration. Okay, yung mga tinatype mong commands kung tinatanggap ba ni switch, kung may mali bang values na kailangan palitan or okay na. So, ito sila. Okay, guys? So, okay. Alright. So, this is just a summary. Ito yung mga pinakita ko sa inyo kanina. Okay. If you want to check on a particular port, kung gusto mo makita kung up and up ba yung status niya, ayan, kung yung status ng certain port. So, you have show interfaces. And then, fast Ethernet, the port number you wanted to check. Okay. So, same lang yan. Same lang din yan. We're not gonna use that. Alright. Okay. So let's now proceed with the secure remote access. Okay, by configuring and securing the telnet and using SSH. Okay. So let's discuss first what is secure remote access. Okay, ganito yan, guys. Whenever, di ba kanina, initially, kapag configure mo yung switch, kailangan mo ng IP address using console cable. Pag naka-deploy na yung switch, okay, and then all of a sudden may gusto kang palitan na configuration. Naka-deploy na siya, ibig sabihin naka-connect na siya, gumagana na siya sa network. And then after that, you wanted to change or add a configuration. So what do you do? So instead of, okay, dala ka ulit ng laptop, punta ka sa tabi ng switch, dala ka ng console cable, connect ka sa console port, okay, imbis na ganun yung gawin mo, pwede mo na lang iset yung switch to accept remote access. Okay, pag sinabing remote access, as long as you have, as long as you are connected to the network, okay, or even through the internet, no, pwede mong makita or pwede mong ma-access yung laman ng switch. Okay? Convenience-wise, okay yon. Pero at the same time, it also has a pair of risk. Kasi nga, nire-remote mo yung switch using remote computer. So, pwedeng pwedeng merong risk factor involved. Okay? Kasi pwedeng ma-intercept yung mga tinatype mo or yung mga password mo or anything that you are using to access that particular switch. Okay, so we have two options now on how to secure remote access. Number one is the telnet operation. Okay, telnet. Now it uses TCP port 23. Okay, it is the older protocol. Okay, that uses unsecure plain text transmission. So take note of that. No, telnet uses unsecure plain text transmission of both the login authentication, which is the username, and the password. Okay, kaya nga ito na yung luma, no? Kasi hindi siya ganoon ka-secure. Okay, kung telnet pa rin ang gamit, actually hindi na to advisable sa mga industry. They don't use telnet anymore. Okay, what they use is the SSH. Pero for example, for this laboratory or for this module, we're gonna try and still configure the telnet para makita nyo lang yung difference nyo with the SSH. Okay, so again, telnet uses port 23. SSH on the other hand is much secured type of protocol of remote access. It uses port 22. So meron siyang encryption management. Okay, so mas mataas yung encryption policy niya compared with telnet. Okay, so if you're gonna look at the look at this. This is a Wireshark capture, no? Kung paano mo makukuha. Kung titingnan mo, no, walang authentication, kitang-kita, no? Yung password, tsaka yung username, which is admin. Kaya konti lang yung encryption niyan. Ayan, no? Kitang-kita mo siya with using telnet. Okay, but just simply using a Wireshark application. Pero kay SSH, ito yung makikita nung mag-intercept sa anuman ang message na ilalagay mo. Ayan, no? So you can see it is encrypted. So it has stronger encryption compared with telnet. So mas maganda siya. Okay? So next, we have the show version. Okay, so ginamit na natin yung show version a while ago. Alright, so let's now proceed with the configuration of SSH. Ayan. Okay, so ito yung procedure natin, guys. Ne? So we're gonna use the our dummy packet tracer file a while ago to enable SSH on S1. Alright. So ito yung procedure natin, step 1 to step 6. Okay, and then we're just gonna walk through the SSH configuration. So we're gonna use the username admin, the password is NA for simplicity lang muna nung ano natin. Okay? So let's try to implement kasi gagamitin nyo to later on your packet tracer activity. Alright? So balik muna ako dun sa packet tracer file natin. Alright, so this is the procedure on how we're going to set SSH to switch 0 to run SSH. Okay, so balik tayo dun sa steps natin. So ito siya. So first, we're gonna try and verify first if the switch supports, if our switch supports SSH. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Okay, so sa switch, ito siya. Gagawin lang natin, go to user mode, privilege mode, and then type in show IP SSH. Alright. So, nilitaw naman dyan kung anong version ng SSH ang kailangan ang nag-run sa kanya. So ibig sabihin, it means that it is gagana, no? It supports SSH version 1.9. Okay? 1.99. But for now, it is initially disabled. So wala talaga yan, no? So hindi pa siya gumagana. So ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, no? So ayan siya. Okay. So that is for the already configured SSH configured switch. So for now, we haven't configured it yet. So tingnan natin, no? So we're gonna follow this commands right there. So number 2, okay, balik tayo dun sa natin. Mais ko lang to. Second step, sabi niya, we're gonna try and configure the IP domain. So punta muna tayo sa global mode. Alright, so to configure the IP domain, all you have to do is to type in IP domain, okay, dash name, space, and then ano yung magiging value natin dito? Just take note of the different commands na per procedure, guys. So the domain name is actually any domain name na gusto mong ilagay. So for example, let's say cisco.com. Alright, so cisco.com, sample lang. Sample, you can add the domain of your company if you want. And then after that, we're gonna configure, or we're gonna step 3, we're gonna configure and generate RSA key pairs. So we're gonna do that. So the command is you have crypto key generate RSA. Alright, crypto key generate RSA. So take note, and then tatanungin ka niya how many bits in modulus. So the minimum is 512. So doblehin lang natin 1024 just to make it longer, for example lang, enter. Alright, so just take a look at the values, no? So now, after you do that, okay, gagawin niya, sabihin niya, okay, SSH version 1.99 has now been enabled. Alright, so okay na siya. So, ibig sabihin, it is already up and running. But, of course, okay, in order to secure it further, okay, we're gonna need user authentication. So, nag-run na yung SSH, kaya lang, hindi pa natin sinet kung sino yung pwedeng pumasok doon. So, we're gonna need, again, user authentication by issuing kung yung gagamitin niyang username. Alright? Kung yung gagamitin niyang username and password. Okay, so to allow username and password, okay, or to specify username and password, okay, so to do step 4, so we're done with step 1 and 3. Gagawin natin is to try and configure our switch to accept the username and password authentication ng user. Okay, so to do that, punta lang tayo sa switch, proceed to global mode, and then we use the command username, and then you specify the username. Okay, for this time I'm gonna use admin, and then I'm gonna use the secret as my command for password, and then ang password natin is gonna be Cisco. Okay guys, now itong command na to, this replaces the password command, okay, just to make it more secure, okay, in terms of the encryption, no? So imbis na password ang ginamit ko, secret. Pero ito pa rin ang i-issue nating password mamaya kapag tinanong niya tayo kung ano yung password. So the username is gonna be admin, the password is gonna be Cisco. So enter lang tayo dito. Alright? So once we're done with that, okay, ang gagawin natin, so tapos na tayo, no? We already enabled SSH, okay, and then sinet na natin yung mga encryption policies niya, the domain name, and the crypto key, no? Kanina, okay, dun sa taas. Okay, so after you specify the username and the secret password, so ang gagawin natin is, by default naman, no, naka-SSH version 2 na yan, no? So, gagawin natin, we're just gonna use the latest versions. Force this switch to use IPSSH version 2. So, if we're gonna put question mark there, let's try that. Okay, so we're just gonna use version and then 2. Okay, just to force it to use version 2. Okay, pag okay na siya guys, ang gagawin natin is we are going now to enable the SSH on the line. Okay, ito sa line ng S1. Ipapasok na natin yung kinonfigure natin sa taas. Ipapasok na natin so that switch 1 will use it as its authentication method. Okay, in terms of SSH. So to do that, papasok tayo sa line BTY 0 space 15, so all 16 lines will be secured. Alright, now to apply the SSH, we're gonna use transport command input SSH. Alright, to enable it on these lines, and then we use the command login local. Alright, login local. Right, to allow local login using our username and password that's specified a while ago. So, ayan. So, login local, enter. So, end ako dito. Copy, run, start. I hope you took note of all the procedures. Alright, so once okay na siya, okay, so ang gagawin lang natin is you're gonna go to PC, and then titingnan mo kung ma-access niya yung remote configuration nito using SSH. So, gagamitin ni PC no, na username is gonna be admin. The password is gonna be the Cisco password that we set a while ago. Okay, tapos in order for you to remotely configure that, ang gagamitin mo will be the SVI, okay, kung ano yung merong IP address na sinet natin kanina doon sa taas. Okay, which is in this case, showran ko lang, it is VLAN 99 na 172.17.99.11. Try natin yun, no? So, sige. I'm just gonna put IP address on my switch. Oh, sorry, my PC. Okay, that is 172. Alright, sorry, 172.17.99 dot. Gawin na lang natin tong dot 10. Subnet mask of 342.55.0. Okay. The default gateway, pareho na lang. Dot 1. Okay. So, yan. Now, to try and test it, okay, pupunta tayo sa command prompt. Alright, command prompt ng PC ha. Okay, under command prompt ng PC, okay, para mapasukan natin yung remote configuration natin for switch. Okay, the command is gonna be SSH -L. And then, what will be the username? It is admin. And then, plus the combination of the IP address na tina-target mo, which is 172.17.99.11. Yun yung IP address ni switch na to. Okay? In terms of its management address. Kasi yun yung merong IP address. So, yan siya. So, SSH -L, admin, ito yung username, and then yan. Okay? Pasok tayo. Ay, sorry, wala pa palang ano to. We haven't configured the housekeeping yet. Okay. So, check muna natin. Configure terminal. So, enable muna tayo ng secret. Let's say Cisco 2. Okay, check muna natin. Enable secret. Okay, ito yung ginagamit natin just to enable the And then, okay na tayo doon sa line. Okay, so check natin ulit. Alright, so let's try that again. So I'm just gonna use again the command. Sa PC side, login lang kayo sa command prompt and then just type in SSH -L. L is for login. Okay, the login name is the admin you set natin kanina. Plus the IP address of the switch. Ano ba yung IP address nung switch natin? Okay, yun yung 172. Tama ba? We just check the IP address of my switch. Ayan, 172.17.99.11. So, 172.17.99.11. Alright. So, when you press enter, ayun na. So, papasok na yung SSH. So, this session now is now running through SSH. Ano yung password natin dito? Ito yung password na sinak natin dun sa username a while ago. Diba? Username, admin, password, or secret password is Cisco. So, type nyo lang ng diretso. Wala siyang keylog. So, hindi ibig sabihin hindi siya naghang, no? Just type straight Cisco, enter. Alright, ito siya. So, pumasok na. No? And then, from here, you can now configure. Pasok ka na sa privilege mode. Password is Cisco. Ito yung sinet ko dun sa enable secret. And then, ito na. So, you can now configure the, or check and also add and edit the configuration of that switch using this computer right here. Itong terminal na to. So, hindi na ako dumadaan dito sa console. I am now configuring the switch using a normal LAN cable. We are using normal LAN cable. Hindi na yung console cable kanina. Okay? So, ganun lang siya. Okay? That's how you implement SSH configuration. No? So, yan. Pasok ko na siya. So, pasok ko sa global mode. And then, I can now create VLANs. For example, VLAN 10. Pwede na akong gumawa ng mga additional VLAN numbers. Okay, and then I now have full control of that switch. Okay, so nandito ako sa PC2, ha? Ito yung gamit ko. So to end the session, just press exit, and then you're gonna go back to drive C, which is this PC right here. Okay, so ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay, now for basic router settings, just the same with Net1. So, ginawa nyo na to dati. Diba? So, you already configured yan, host name for R1, okay, the line configuration, and the service password equation. All of this are all housekeeping commands. Okay, the banner, ayos na rin yan. Copy run start, it's the same. Okay, the only difference with with router is that kapag magko-configure kayo ng IP address, So, imbis na interface VLAN, ang gagamitin nyo is gonna be interface and then the interface address. Yung mismong interface ID. Kung serial, kung gigabit Ethernet, kung fast Ethernet. So, ganun lang siya. Okay? Alright, so I guess that ends our first module. Alright? For online students, okay, you will be doing packet tracer activities that will be uploaded in Edmodo. Download nyo, same process tayo, username muna, answer, and then upload on the same link. Just make sure na meron user profile before you answer. Okay, and then for the hub and the offline students, you're gonna answer some questions along with the packet tracer configuration commands that you're going to write on a piece of paper as well. Alright, so if you have questions, inquiries, okay, chat na lang or message sa Edmodo LMS natin. Clarifications. Alright, I will be posting a schedule for our probably live sessions maybe. Okay, for some of your inquiries, no, yung mga kailangan pa natin habulin that was not included in this video. Alright, but of course, the full summary or the full content of this module is are found, no, doon sa ating NetAcad class. So, mas comprehensive yon. Okay, so just visit the website as long as you have internet connectivity. Alright, so again, thanks for listening. See you on our next module number 2. Okay, bye.